On the edge of a ruined alien city, under two fading suns, she stood every evening. Her skin shimmered softly, a hue between silver and pale blue, reflecting the dying light of her world. For 500 sunsets, she waited at the same corner, the same cracked stones beneath her bare feet. Locals called her the ghost of promise. Yet she was no ghost, only a girl with hope too heavy for her small heart. Her name was Lyra, and long ago, before the war burned the skies red, a human had made her a promise. He had said, "I'll come back for you, no matter what." And humans were strange, unpredictable beings. They came from a far planet, Earth, full of noise, oceans, and stories. But this one had been different, gentle. His name, Ethan Cole. He had crashed on her planet during the chaos, wounded and lost. And Lyra had found him in the desert, half dead, half broken. She gave him shelter, food, and something humans never expected from her kind: kindness. When he recovered, he built a small beacon by the sea, its light guiding other survivors. He taught Lyra human words, laughter, and something she didn't have a word for: love. But when the war ended, Ethan had to leave. The ship came for him. He had held her hands tight, his eyes shining with something that hurt to look at. He said, 500 sunsets, Lyra, and I'll return." She had counted the days in her small notebook, each sunset a memory, each sunrise a whisper of faith. Years passed, the cities rebuilt, and still, she waited. Children grew up hearing her story. Merchants slowed their ships near the corner just to see her still waiting. Even the winds seemed to pause when they passed her, carrying the scent of the sea he once stood beside. The beacon he built no longer worked. Its metal rusted and silent, yet she never moved it. Because to her, it wasn't a machine. It was his voice, frozen in steel and light. Some nights, she would sit and hum the tune he taught her, a human lullaby. Her eyes would lift to the horizon, where the stars looked like windows to another world. And she would whisper, "Maybe tonight," just as she always had. But the suns kept setting, the shadows kept growing, and Ethan never came. Still, the story spread across the galaxy of an alien girl waiting 500 sunsets for a promise made by a human who might already be dust. But those who knew her said, she never looked sad, never bitter. She only looked at peace, as if the act of waiting itself had become her heartbeat. And that was when the observers came. Humans again, older, changed. They landed near the old beacon, scanning the area for signals. And that night, as the 501st sunset fell, the wind carried a faint hum. Human technology awakening again. Lyra turned slowly, heart pounding. The sky shimmered blue and gold as a ship's shadow touched the horizon. And for the first time in years, she smiled, her eyes filling with light. "You kept your promise," she whispered, her voice trembling like the sea at dawn. The silver-blue sky trembled as the ship descended, its engines humming like an ancient song. Dust swirled around Lyra, her heart racing faster than it had in years. She had dreamed of this sound, imagined it in her sleep, recreated it in whispers, but now it was real. The beacon's rusted frame flickered with new light, pulsing like a heartbeat reborn. The vessel was small, marked with the faded emblem of Earth's exploration fleet. Its hull bore scars, deep and old, like it had crossed storms of time and fire. Lyra stepped forward, her legs trembling, her silver hair brushing against her face as wind rushed past. The ramp lowered with a slow mechanical sigh, and from the mist, a figure appeared. Tall, armored, but the helmet hid his face. Her voice cracked when she spoke. "Ethan?" The figure paused. The sound of her voice seemed to freeze the air. Then, a soft reply came through the helmet, distorted, mechanical, yet carrying the echo of familiarity. "Ethan Cole is gone," it said, "but his promise isn't." Lyra's breath caught, her mind spinning. Before she could speak, the figure removed the helmet, revealing a human face, but younger, sharper, not Ethan. Still, his eyes held something Ethan once had, that quiet light, that human sorrow mixed with hope. "I'm Lieutenant Merrick Cole," he said, "Ethan's nephew." Lyra's world tilted, the sands beneath her seemed to fade. He stepped down, holding an old, battered device in his hands, a holographic recorder. This was found in a wreck, adrift near Tau Sigma, It was marked with your coordinates, he said. He pressed a button, and a faint blue light formed above his palm. Ethan's voice filled the air, cracked, distant, and beautiful. If you're hearing this, Lyra, it means I didn't make it back. But I want you to know, every sunset you watched, I saw it too, from the stars. Her knees weakened, tears welled in her bright eyes. The hologram flickered, showing Ethan's face. Older, worn by years of battle and vacuum cold. Humans break easily, Lyra, but we never forget what makes us human. Love, promise, and the memory of someone waiting. If I couldn't return myself, I made sure someone would, someone carrying my story. Merrick knelt, placing the small recorder into her trembling hands. He told us about you, he said softly. About the girl who saved him and taught him how to hope. He said if humanity ever found your world again, we should rebuild this beacon, not as a signal, but as a monument. The suns dipped lower, the golden light stretching across her face. Lyra looked at Merrick, his eyes full of respect, not pity. You came all this way, she whispered. He nodded, because he made me promise too. The beacon behind them hummed louder, the ancient machinery connecting with the new ship's systems. The metal glowed blue, rising like a tower of light reaching the heavens. Ethan's voice played one last time. If promises are what make us human, then waiting is what makes you eternal. Lyra closed her eyes, letting the warmth of the suns and the hum of the beacon blend into one melody. 500 sunsets had passed, but in that moment, it felt like only one. Because finally, her waiting had meaning, her story was heard, her promise was shared across stars. Merrick stood beside her, watching the beacon rise. He whispered, almost to himself, you waited for him, Lyra, now let the galaxy wait for you. She smiled faintly, her tears catching the dying light. And for the first time, she didn't look toward the horizon. She looked up, to the stars where Ethan now rested, knowing his promise had finally returned home. The night after the beacon reignited, Lyra stood beside the human ship. Its lights reflected across her silver-blue skin, turning her into a living echo of the stars. For the first time in centuries, the old city was alive again. Its people gathered near the coast, whispering her name. They had seen her wait, through storm and silence, and now they watched as the sky answered her patience. Lieutenant Merrick Cole adjusted the navigation panel, his eyes tracing the ancient coordinates left by Ethan. This isn't just a message, he said. It's a trail. Lyra tilted her head, her luminous eyes reflecting the flicker of data lines scrolling across the glass. A trail? To where? She asked softly. He smiled faintly. To where he wanted you to see. To Earth. For a long time, she said nothing, her hands brushing against the beacon's frame. It hummed in response, alive and singing, as if giving her permission to go. The sea wind carried the scent of salt and memory. She whispered to the waves, 500 sunsets, and now I'll chase the dawn. When the engines ignited, the world shook gently beneath her feet. Dust lifted from the old stones, scattering like the pages of a forgotten story. The city watched as the alien girl who had waited half a lifetime stepped into the human ship. And the ship, carrying both her heart and a dead man's promise, rose into the dark sky. As they broke atmosphere, Lyra looked back, her home growing smaller, her heart heavier. Merrick glanced at her, noticing the faint shimmer of tears that floated like crystals in the low gravity. Are you afraid? He asked quietly. She smiled, a soft, distant smile. I was afraid when I first met your kind. Ethan taught me not to be. The stars stretched into rivers of light as the ship entered warp. Outside, constellations danced and blurred. Lyra pressed her hand to the glass. Are these all your worlds? Merrick nodded. And every one of them carries a story, sometimes of hope, sometimes of loss. She whispered, humans have so many stars, yet you still keep promises. Hours passed like dreams. Merrick shared with her old human songs, archives from Earth, rain, laughter, oceans, and the whisper of wind through trees. She listened in silence, her eyes closed, letting the sound wrap around her. This is what he spoke of, she said, blue skies, green life. I thought they were myths. They're real, Merrick said softly. And now, you'll see them. As they approached the Sol system, Earth came into view. a glowing sphere of blue and white, floating like a jewel in the void. Lyra gasped. It was alive, moving, breathing. "It's beautiful," she whispered, her voice trembling. "It's home," Merrick replied, but then paused, glancing at her. "And it's waiting for you too." They descended through clouds that glowed orange at dawn. The sight of oceans made Lyra's eyes widen. Endless water, waves crashing with life and light. The ship landed near a coastal base, quiet and respectful. Humans gathered to watch her. The alien girl who had waited 500 sunsets. They didn't stare with fear, but with awe. Merrick guided her to a small memorial garden. At its center stood a single stone, engraved with words in both human and alien script. "Ethan Cole, the bridge between stars." Lyra knelt before it, touching the letters, her fingers trembling. She closed her eyes, whispering, "You kept your promise, even after time took you." Merrick stood behind her, silent. He watched as a soft glow surrounded her, not from the sun, but from within. Lyra's body shimmered, her energy aligning with the earth's warmth. She whispered, "He said waiting makes us eternal." Maybe he was right. A breeze passed through the garden, lifting her silver hair. In that wind, for a heartbeat, she thought she heard his voice. "I told you I'd return." And for the first time since that corner beneath the fading suns, she laughed, a quiet, gentle laugh. Not of sadness, but of peace. Because the promise had crossed light years, time, and death itself. And now, under the blue sky of Earth, it finally rested. Morning sunlight spilled across the memorial garden, warming the stone that bore Ethan's name. Lyra sat there quietly, her silver blue fingers tracing the carved letters. It felt unreal. This planet he had described so many times, its air thick with life, its skies full of warmth. The sounds of waves reminded her of the sea on her home world, but Earth's voice was deeper, older. It carried echoes of 1,000 stories that had started long before hers. Lieutenant Merrick stood a few steps behind, holding a small hollow disc between his palms. "This was found near the memorial last year," he said softly. "No one could open it. Maybe it's meant for you." Lyra lifted her head, her glowing eyes narrowing slightly. "For me?" He nodded, placing the small round device in her hands. "It bears your name, written in both languages." When she touched it, the disc pulsed with light. A gentle hum filled the air, and then a beam of blue shimmered upward. A holographic star map appeared, constellations twisting and rearranging into a familiar pattern. Lyra gasped. "That's my world," she whispered, her voice trembling. The projection zoomed in, revealing something buried deep under her planet's surface, a sealed structure, glowing faintly. Ethan's voice emerged once again, older now, slower, like it had traveled through time just to reach her. "If you've made it to Earth, Lyra, then you've waited long enough. What you showed me, compassion beyond our understanding, I couldn't let it fade. Beneath your home, there's a chamber I built before I left, using both our technologies. Inside it lies the seed of dawn, a fusion of human code and alien life essence, a gift for both worlds." Lyra froze, the hologram reflecting in her eyes. "A seed," she murmured. Merrick leaned closer, scanning the data flickering beside the image. "It's biological and digital," he said, awe in his voice. "Half organic, half synthetic, it could rewrite ecosystems." Lyra whispered. He wanted to heal both worlds. Ethan's message continued. "If either humanity or your kind fall into despair again, use it. It will restore what war and hate destroyed. Life, balance, connection." Then his tone softened, almost breaking. "But Lyra, don't use it alone. Humans and your people must stand together for it to awaken." The hologram faded, leaving silence so deep even the ocean seemed to listen. Lyra's hands trembled as she clutched the device. "He built this for both of us, for everything we lost." Merrick looked at her, eyes wide. "Do you realize what this means?" He didn't just make a promise, he built hope. Later that day, Lyra stood on a high cliff overlooking the human settlement. She could see children playing, laughter rising into the open air. For the first time, she felt she truly understood what Ethan loved about this place. Its fragility was its beauty. It broke, but it always rebuilt. That night, she sat under the stars with Merrick beside her. The sky shimmered with millions of points of light. "Do you think our worlds can trust each other again?" she asked, her voice soft, uncertain. Merrick glanced up. "If we start with faith, maybe." Lyra turned the hollow disk in her hands, the blue light glowing faintly like a heartbeat. "Then let's finish his promise," she whispered. Together. The stars above seemed to pulse in agreement. A wind moved across the field, and for a moment, it carried a familiar echo. Ethan's laughter, gentle and distant. Lyra smiled, closing her eyes. 500 sunsets, she murmured, and the dawn is finally here. The hollow disk pulsed once more, sending out a faint signal that stretched across space. Far beyond Earth's orbit, through the silent void, toward the twin suns of Lyra's home world. And there, deep beneath its surface, something ancient stirred, a buried structure awakening after centuries of sleep. Its lights flickered on one by one, as if answering her call. And for the first time in ages, both worlds shared the same heartbeat. The ship's engines hummed a steady rhythm as it left Earth's atmosphere. Lyra stood at the observation deck, staring out into the endless black. The stars stretched and twisted, some familiar, others alien, yet all whispering the same promise. A promise Ethan had left, and she had carried in her heart for 500 sunsets. Merrick approached quietly, holding a small data pad with coordinates. "This is the exact location Ethan marked," he said, voice low, reverent. Lyra nodded, her silver-blue hair brushing her shoulders. Her heart beat faster than it had since she first saw the human ship descend. "This is home," she whispered, almost to herself. "Yes," Merrick replied, "but home will never be the same again." As they descended onto the familiar desert plains of her world, Lyra could feel the pulse of her planet, small, fragile, and scarred from centuries of war. The twin suns hung low, casting long shadows over the crumbling cities and half-rebuilt villages. She breathed in the dry, warm air, feeling a strange mixture of nostalgia and determination. The beacon, now inactive again, lay in ruins near the corner where she had waited. Lyra knelt beside it, touching the rusted metal. "It guided him here," she murmured, "and now it will guide me to him." Merrick adjusted the ship's sensors, scanning below the desert. Then the holographic display blinked, highlighting a faint structure buried beneath the sands. "It's massive," he said, awe in his tone. "Ethan built this long before he ever left." Lyra led him to the surface entrance, a circular hatch concealed by centuries of wind and sand. Her fingers traced the alien symbols Ethan had etched into the metal long ago. She pressed a sequence of commands, her heart pounding with each press. With a soft hiss, the hatch slid open, revealing a descending tunnel. Cool air, tinged with ozone and something organic, washed over them. They stepped into the darkness, guided by the ship's portable lights. The walls shimmered faintly, embedded with alien crystals that pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. "This is alive," Lyra whispered, amazed. Merrick nodded. "It's not just a chamber. It's a living construct." Deeper inside, they reached a large domed chamber, glowing faintly with biodigital energy. In the center, a cylindrical structure pulsed with light, the seed of dawn. It hovered above the floor, rotating slowly, colors shifting like the auroras of Lyra's world. Ethan's voice echoed from a stored hologram embedded in the walls. "If you are here, it means you kept waiting," he said. "This seed is a gift, a bridge between our kinds, a chance to heal all that was broken." Lyra stepped closer, awe and reverence washing over her. The seed hummed, resonating with her own energy. She could feel life, countless possibilities, the rebirth of forests, oceans, and cities. Merrick approached cautiously. "It's more than anything I've ever seen." "Yes," Lyra replied. "It's hope, it's love, it's everything he believed in." She extended her hands toward the seed of dawn. The chamber pulsed brighter, responding to her touch. A vision filled her mind. Humans and aliens working together, deserts blooming into forests, oceans teeming with life, cities alive with harmony. Ethan's voice whispered again, "Use it wisely, Lyra. Stand with them, guide them. Only together can this awaken fully." Lyra took a deep breath, feeling the weight and power of the promise she carried. "I will," she whispered, her voice firm, glowing with determination. Merrick watched her, silently impressed, understanding the significance of what they had found. Then let's make sure no promise, no life, no world is ever lost again, he said softly. Together, they began the delicate process of activating the seed of dawn. Its energy spread throughout the chamber, seeping into the tunnels, the surface, reaching out to the stars. The twin suns above seemed to respond, shining brighter, as if they too recognized the fulfillment of a long-held promise. And for the first time since the war had scarred her world, Lyra smiled not at hope alone, but at the certainty that Ethan's dream, her devotion, and humanity's potential could finally bloom into reality. The seed of dawn was alive, the future uncertain yet luminous, and the girl who had waited 500 sunsets was finally ready to guide it. The desert stretched beneath the twin suns, glowing gold and copper. Lyra stood at the edge of the chamber's surface exit, the seed of dawn humming softly in her hands. Merrick hovered near her, monitoring the readings from the biodigital device. The air was still, almost expectant, as if the planet itself was holding its breath. The first step, Lyra whispered, is to show them it's possible. Merrick nodded. But both sides must be willing. Humans and aliens must see this together. She exhaled slowly, feeling the pulse of the seed resonate with her heartbeat. It was alive, aware, responding to the warmth of hope and patience. They began by sending signals across the settlement, holographic projections of the seed. Images and data displayed its potential: forests growing, water flowing in parched lands, cities restored. At first, humans stared in disbelief, murmuring and pointing. Some laughed nervously, others backed away, unsure of the alien power brought to their world. But Lyra's presence, her calm certainty, carried more authority than words could. She raised her hands, letting the seed's energy flow outward. Soft green vines sprouted where dust and stone had lain for centuries. Water pooled in shallow depressions, reflecting the twin suns in rippling light. The humans gasped, their eyes widening, some falling to their knees in awe. Merrick guided them carefully, explaining how the seed worked, how life could return if they acted together. Then came the alien survivors, wary but curious. They had watched her wait for 500 sunsets, her patience legendary. Now they saw the proof. Humans willing to stand beside her, not as enemies, but as partners. Lyra stepped forward, her silver blue glow radiant in the sunlight. "See," she said softly, "we waited. We hoped. Now it's time to act together." The first alien approached, its eyes glowing faintly, scanning the seed. It touched the surface lightly, and instantly a network of energy spread through the chamber, connecting humans and aliens alike. Vines and water flowed outward, transforming the landscape. Deserts turned to forests, parched rivers filled with sparkling water. Cities rebuilt themselves subtly, as if guided by invisible hands. And the people, human and alien, felt the pulse of life returning, their hearts beating in sync with the seed. But not everyone trusted the power. A group of humans argued, fearing that such alien energy could dominate. Some aliens held back, hesitant to trust the humans again. Lyra stepped between them, glowing softly, her voice firm, yet gentle. "This is Ethan's promise, not mine, not theirs, but his," she said. "It's life, not war. If you cannot stand together, it will fail for everyone." Her words resonated, echoing across the desert, reaching the hearts of those who were willing to listen. Slowly, one by one, both humans and aliens approached the seed. They placed their hands together, letting their energies combine with hers. The seed pulsed brighter, responding to trust and unity. It sent out beams of green and blue across the land, touching villages, rivers, and forests. For the first time in centuries, Lyra felt the world breathe with life. The twin suns shone brighter, reflecting off rivers and leaves, as if acknowledging the harmony forming below. Merrick stood beside her, silently amazed. "They're listening," he said, voice filled with wonder. Lyra smiled, tears glistening in her glowing eyes. "Yes," she whispered. "They remember what it means to hope, what it means to promise." And somewhere far beyond the stars, Ethan's presence seemed to pulse in the seed. A quiet, gentle reminder that waiting, patience, and faith could change the course of entire worlds. The seed of dawn had awakened, and Lyra, the girl who had waited 500 sunsets, finally saw her world, and another, breathing together in harmony. The first dawn of unity had arrived, not just for her planet, but for the hope of all who believed in promises. The desert winds whispered across the twin suns, carrying scents of rebirth and memory. Lyra stood at the heart of the transformed land, the seed of dawn glowing like a heartbeat beneath her hands. Merrick beside her, silent but alert, scanning for any imbalance. This was the final moment, the culmination of 500 sunsets, of hope and faith stretched across galaxies. The seed pulsed brighter than ever, responding to the unity of humans and aliens alike. Rivers flowed through barren valleys, forests rose from ashes, cities shimmered with new life. Children ran along glowing streets, laughing, humans and aliens together. The elders watched quietly, their eyes reflecting disbelief and reverence. Even the animals, some extinct for decades, emerged cautiously, sensing the revival. But peace never comes without its test. From the horizon, a shadow grew, mechanical and menacing. A fleet of rogue explorers, humans corrupted by greed and fear, had tracked the seed. They intended to claim its power, to weaponize the life force that Lyra and Merrick had awakened. Ships descended, guns aimed, their intentions clear, domination, not harmony. Lyra's pulse quickened, her glowing skin brightening as she connected with the seed. "This is not yours to take," she said firmly, her voice resonating through the desert like a chant. Merrick moved to her side, raising protective shields, but the seed itself began to shimmer and extend energy barriers. Its glow stretched outward, touching the fleet, slowing their engines, disarming their weapons. The rogue humans stared in awe, unable to move, caught between fear and wonder. Lyra stepped forward, lifting the seed above her head. Energy radiated like the twin suns themselves, stretching across the desert, reaching every person who had touched it. She spoke softly, yet every being could hear. Promises are stronger than fear. Waiting is stronger than hate. Hope is stronger than war. The fleet faltered, the humans realizing the seed was not a tool, but a living promise. It responded only to unity and trust, and their selfish intentions could not control it. One by one, the rogue humans lowered their weapons. Some knelt, overwhelmed by the life surging around them. Others watched, unsure, but unable to resist the pull of harmony. Even the aliens who had doubted humanity now stepped forward, extending their hands. The seed responded fully, pulsing with colors unseen, weaving together every heart, every life. The desert became a cathedral of light, forests and rivers flowing, animals and humans moving in rhythm. Lyra closed her eyes, letting the seed connect with her memories of waiting, of faith, of Ethan's promise. She felt his presence like a warm embrace, whispering, "You did it, Lyra. You kept the promise alive." Her silver-blue glow intensified, reflecting the twin suns and the seed's light. Merrick stood beside her, awestruck, silently realizing the depth of her patience and courage. This is beyond anything I imagined," he whispered. Lyra opened her eyes, smiling. It was always about waiting, about believing in others, about keeping promises. The rogue fleet slowly retreated, transformed in understanding if not fully. The humans and aliens remaining embraced the new world, working together to nurture it. Lyra walked among them, feeling the pulse of life beneath her feet. The seed of dawn now fully awake, a living monument to hope, patience, and unity. And above them, the twin suns shone brighter than ever, a reminder that even the smallest promise can echo across galaxies. She paused at the corner where she had waited for 500 sunsets. For a moment, she saw her past self, small and patient, watching the horizon. And she realized, the waiting was not the hardest part, it was the bridge. The bridge that connected worlds, hearts, and promises. Lyra smiled, turning to Merrick. "It's time to rebuild everything, together." He nodded, understanding that this was just the beginning of a new era. Above the desert, the twin suns cast long shadows over rivers and forests. The seed of dawn pulsed softly, a heartbeat of hope in a galaxy that had almost forgotten what it meant to believe. And somewhere, Far beyond the stars, Ethan's presence lingered, satisfied that the promise he made had not just been kept, but had grown into a legacy of life. Lyra, the girl who waited 500 sunsets, finally understood the true power of hope. And the universe, for the first time in centuries, smiled back.